First thing first, James, how are you?
I'm very good. I've been up since about when the sun came up, so I'm a bit tired.
Long day?
Long day, but I'm all good, thank you.
Okay. So what I want to start with is after making this new music, how do you look back at the chaos and the calm?
I look back with so much pride. I look back and I see something that, yeah, I'm more proud of than anything else at the moment. Everything I achieved with Chaos and the Calm is everything I've ever achieved so far. So I also, because of that, I'm able to set myself a goal. I'm able to say to myself, okay, for everything that I achieved with Chaos and the Calm, I now want to achieve more with this new music. So here goes.
In that sense then, what is the ambition? And then even before Chaos and the Calm, what was the ambition in terms of creativity, in terms of...
The ambition is to be, you know, the ambition is for my music to be world famous. For my songs to be known around the world, and my ambition is to play in enormous venues around the world, and my ambition is to sell millions of records, and my ambition is to be able to do this for the rest of my life, so that I can, so that I never say I've done it, because I want to always be doing it.
Right.
That's the ambition.
And because a lot of that you already achieved with the first album. You have songs that are played all over the world. So was that kind of a weight off your shoulders going into this new music, or the other way around even?
Well, I think as soon as for a lot of people who do this for a living, as soon as you achieve one thing, you want the next thing. Maybe there's a weight off my shoulders, but there's not really, because I don't know, I don't work like that. I want to improve on everything I achieve, and then when I improve on it, I want to improve on it again, you know, and take it further. And if my songs get played all around the world, they don't get played around the world enough. So I want them to be played around the world more.
This might sound like a vague question maybe, but do you know where this ambition comes from, where this drive comes from?
I'm not really sure, because I don't necessarily share it with the rest of my family. It's not to say that they aren't ambitious people, but I think we're different. We're just different, and maybe the ambition comes purely and innocently from being a kid and seeing footage of people like Bruce Springsteen and Michael Jackson performing to enormous crowds, and hearing their records on the radio, and hearing how everybody talked about their records as the greatest records of all time, and thinking, well, that looks incredible, I want to try and do that. And no one's ever really told me I couldn't do it. No. So, especially like my parents, they didn't push me to try harder, but they didn't tell me I couldn't do it. They just they supported me, and I had to find the drive and ambition to do it and get better at it all by myself. Yeah, I'm competitive. I'm competitive with others, and we're all competitive with each other in that respect, but I'm competitive with myself. Yeah, I set myself goals, and if I achieve them, as soon as I'm achieving them, I'm more interested in the next thing, in the next goal, and getting to that.
So when you start working, after that whole cycle, which must have been quite crazy for you, that first album, that whole cycle and touring it.
It was, yeah.
Where do you start? Is it immediately then thinking about because like you say, next step, and I want to do this now, I'm going into...
Yeah, it was. I think a lot of artists, I've heard lots of different artists say this kind of thing. I can tell you that as soon as I walked out of the studio, when I finished Chaos and the Calm, on the last day when I finished making it, I was thinking about what I would do next. And I hadn't toured the songs for Chaos and the Calm at all. I still had a load of support tours to do where I was opening up for other acts. So I think any musician or any artist's mind moves about 2 or 3 years ahead of what everybody else is thinking and what the artist is actually doing.
That's quite interesting because, well, doing these kinds of things, interviews and talking to people, performing the songs, does it feel in a way old then?
At this point, I know that, you know, even though I've had these songs, these new songs, I've had them for a short while. They haven't. Only Wild Love has gone out into the world. You know, nobody else has had them at all yet. So once you know that people have heard it for the first time, and then people start to hear it more and more, it's still nowhere near old. But for me, that's when it might start to feel a little bit sort of older. But I say all that now. I haven't played Wild Love. I haven't performed it or any of these other new songs in front of an audience yet. I haven't toured them yet. So they feel older in the capacity of like they've been on the radio for a moment now. Or Wild Love has. But it's when you get them to the live stage that they start to, that they're born again, kind of thing. They're born again when they go on the radio, and they're born again when they get to the stage. So it does take a minute for them all to get old, even though I wrote them a little while ago.
Did the success that you've had with the debut album, did that affect kind of how you went into the creative process?
Not really. The success of it gave me the confidence to do something else, because I feel more than ever like I kind of nailed the thing that I was trying to do with the songs on Chaos and the Calm, and so it was okay. It felt more okay to change direction and try something new. So it didn't really sort of inform this second record too much. Within that first record and within this new record, there is me, you know, whatever it is that makes up who I am as an artist at the core. That's always going to be in there because I'm creating this music. Other than that, it's my biggest interest to change and to evolve.
And that's also a part of contention for a lot of audiences. A lot of times you hear a lot that when somebody doesn't make the exact same album, people get upset a little bit.
That's fantastic. I kind of love that.
But can I imagine then that this didn't play a role for you?
No, it didn't bother me. It didn't. You know, I love my fans and I trust them and I believe in them because I know that they believe in me as an artist.
Right.
And there's lots more people out there that I want to sort of bring into my circle and hope will become fans of my music. But I only really achieve that, and I'll only really create a long career and life with these fans if I evolve. You know, if I try new things. They'll go out and try new things. They'll go out and check out new types of music, different things. And do I want them to keep coming back to my music and going, here it is, same old James? No, I don't want that. As an artist and as a creator, I don't want to do that.
Right.
To myself either. So yeah, I gotta try other stuff.
So this thing provides you obviously with the opportunity to show a different side of yourself and different influences. So where did you start? Did you already, like you said, you had the first album done? Did you already have stuff in mind that you wanted to go into?
No, it came to mind more about halfway through touring Chaos and the Calm. I toured Chaos and the Calm for 3 or 4 years, and halfway through that time is when it became second nature, getting on stage and playing these songs and performing them in a certain way. And it wasn't boring, but when I stepped off the stage and went to listen to music, I stopped listening to the music that inspired Chaos and the Calm, and I started going and looking for new sounds to inspire me, and just new sounds to enjoy. Some artists, some records, I looked back and I went to Prince music that I'd grown up hearing, and Michael Jackson music and David Bowie music. Some of it was the Strokes, some of it, you know, there was various things. And then I looked to stuff that I hadn't spent as much time with, that was new to me, like LCD Sound System and Lord and Frank Ocean, Drake, Chance the Rapper, music like that. And in all of that music I found I was having new ideas about how I would present myself and what I would do, what I would make for my next record.
What was the first song that came out of kind of this inspiration or this period? Or?
Wild Love, actually.
Okay.
Wild Love was maybe the third song I wrote for this new record. And I tell you this, I sat back and listened to it, and I loved it, and I was proud of it. and I absolutely knew that it wasn't music for the guy in the hat with the long hair. It was music for a new version of me and a new character and a new chapter.
Right. And because, well, you mentioned new chapter, and it's not just musically, but you as a person obviously evolve over the years as well.
Yeah.
So what kind of mindset were you in terms of your kind of your being?
When I was writing these new songs?
When Wild, kind of the period when Wild Love came out.
Good question. I was... Well, you know, I was a more confident songwriter than I'd ever been before. The chorus line, you know, the opening line to the chorus of Wild Love is, "I want to give you wild love, the kind that never slows down." My lyrics were a little bit more complex and a little bit more... trying to think of the word. They didn't get to the point as quick, my old lyrics. And they still, all those songs on Chaos and the Calm, they said things.
Sure. They
had a point. But they were full of anxiety and uncertainty. I was a less confident person. I was trying to sort of pour my soul, my heart and soul into songs, talking about how I felt and you know, the atmosphere within relationships I had with certain people. And I didn't know how they'd be received. So, you know, you do your best and you hope that it'll work. This time round, I knew that I had a fan base out there.
Right.
And I wanted to show them a new level. I wanted to show them a new level and that I could go to a different place and that there was more to me than just this intimate, kind of intricate sounding singer-songwriter guy.
In that process, in going through these songs and discovering all these kind of new elements, did you discover something about yourself as well?
I guess it's a similar kind of answer to the last one. I did discover this confidence, and I've always felt like I was kind of a confident person, but I know that I wasn't as confident in such a relaxed way when I started out as I am now.
Right.
And that's not to say I'm not still full of drive and ambition. I'm still desperate to achieve more and to be, you know, successful with my music in a bigger way, globally. But I guess I'm a little bit more. While I'm a little bit more comfortable in my own skin, it's a new skin. Like it's a new version of myself, and I think that's the thing that's made me most kind of comfortable and excited.
Finally, then, I want to get into one song in particular, which is "In My Head." Do you remember the mind space you were in when you wrote that?
Yeah. Again, that's a great example of how my confidence has developed as a songwriter. That's supposed to be, you know, that is to me an out and out, like, euphoric, uplifting pop record. It's not, you know, it's not just soul. It's not just a singer-songwriter thing. It's pop music, and the mindset I was in when I wrote that is that I want to get onto bigger stages than I've ever got on to before. I want to tour arenas. I want to reach stadiums. I want to play big slots at festivals, and I'm going to do it with music like this because this is going to reach a lot of people.
Did you know that when you when you wrote it?
Well, I mean, I could tell you I know that, but like we still don't really know if it's going to work because the song hasn't come out. But I believe it.
But part of what attracted me to that song, there's a tinge maybe of gospel in
absolutely.
In there. So
music for people, you know, as opposed to person. Like it's music for groups of people, and it's you know, you can dance to it and you can feel joy to it, and I want to create that.
The final question then, because you mentioned kind of moving away a little bit from that singer-songwriter attitude. So I've always seen this, and this may be a whole wrong interpretation,
sure.
But it often seems like there's a hint of self-pity in those kind of songs. So is it fair to say that has kind of disappeared?
You mean my old songs?
No, but in that kind of style of writing, you mentioned
sure.
Now you're more direct, now you're more confident. So that kind of feeling sorry for yourself.
Right. I think there's. You could put it that way. You could say that there's ego. You know, that's an artist's job, to kind of magnify those things. And yeah, it's there. It was in there then, and it still exists in my writing, but maybe in a different way. So it's not gone. I wouldn't mind seeing a version of my writing where it wasn't there. It'd be interesting to me, but I know that it's not gone. I know that it's not gone in the songs I've written. I can think of a song on the second record that you won't hear. You haven't heard it yet. Maybe there's more of that sort of self-pity, or even that ego, or that sort of self-centered mindset that exists in all artists' work, and it's there in that song quite an amount for me. And
then at the end of the day, luckily you can still evolve.
Absolutely, man.
With every album that you make.
That is the one thing you can always rely on, is that there's room to evolve.
Right.
As long as you believe it, you know.
James, thank you very much for your time.
No worries. Thank you, man. Cheers.